All right, so now we're going to take a peek at graphing and finding the slope of the tangent line, and then also looking at the derivative of a more complex function and seeing that the slope that we get from that should be the same thing. So take a peek at this. All right, I have that graph. This is number 3 on that tangent line worksheet. X cubed minus 3x squared plus 3x minus 1. There's a nice graph from Google. And I went ahead and took the derivative. I treat each one of these. You can do these crazy looking complex ones if you just treat each term as like a separate little thing to take the derivative of. So I circled them kind of separately in there, did adding a negative instead of subtracting, kind of separate those out. Like first term, x cubed, derivative of that, I can handle that, 3x squared. Second one, 3x to the second. If I bring the 2 out front and I multiply by negative 3, I get negative 6. Bring the power down from 2 to 1. And then we get into uncharted territory. At 3x and the minus 1, you may or may not know how to do it, but here's a look at it. That's actually 3x to the 0. And so the derivative of that, which I didn't actually write in there in good detail, but if that's actually 3x to the 0, then I bring that 0 out front to the power and multiply by that 3, and then it's x to the... Wait, that's kind of weird looking. How's that work out? Well, there's a trick. Whenever you take the derivative of 3x, I'm going to multiply that. Here it is. This is 3x to the 0, or to the 1. And when I take and multiply that 1 out front here, so sorry about the thing I said before, you get 1 times 3, and then the power of 1 that used to be up there, take away 1 from it, and you get 0. And we should know something about x to the 0, so I'll talk about that in a minute. So this, hard to read that I just wrote in there, but it's uncharted territory. So let me explain this a little bit better. Let me go and show you some more about this. So how do we take the derivative of, well, negative 1, and that deal with that x to the first, x to the 0 thing? Well, here's what I know. One thing is that x to the 0 is equal to 1. Well, that's good news, because that 3x to the 0 I got from taking the derivative of 3x to the first, because I did 1 times 3 and then reduced the power of 1 by 1 to 0. I kind of didn't know what to do with that. So here's how it works. 3x to the 0 is a great thing. It means just 3. So the derivative of 3x that we see over here is just 3. And I'll show you that too. How about negative 1? The derivative of negative 1? Well, here's a way to rewrite that. F of x equals negative 1 times x to the 0. X to the 0 is equal to 1. So negative 1 times x to the 0 is still just negative 1. So if I take the derivative of that, I can use the power rule. I can multiply by that power out front. So put 0 times negative 1 times x to the, take away 1 from that power, make it negative 1. And then what I've got is 0 times negative 1 times x to the negative 1. Well, 0 times anything, 0. So what we find out is the derivative of negative 1 is actually 0. Now we'll play more with this a little bit later, especially in class. But in here's the summary. I said those are the 3 things we knew. 3x squared minus 6x plus 3. Those are the derivatives of the first 3 terms. We may not have known that the derivative of 3x here is just 3, but we learned that now. And we just found out the derivative of negative 1 is actually 0. That's crazy. So here's a pretty version of our derivative, 3x cubed minus 6x plus 3. And then we go, why did we do this again? Well, it's to tell us the slope of the tangent line at a particular location. And we can try and graph it. I'm trying to find it at x equals 1. So I did it by hand on the left there. It's kind of hard to do. Rough to approximate, but kind of looks like 0. If I do it in the nice graph on Google, still hard to get, but it does look like 0, so I think that sounds reasonable. Let's try it. Let's put 1 into the derivative and see what happens. 3 times 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 3. That's our nice derivative. Hey, let's figure out, that's 3 minus 6 plus 3, 0. The slope of the tangent line to f of x at x equals 1 is 0.